I hate the term six figures. I said time and time again, six figures really is just, I make a little bit over 100,000. Because if you make $250,000, you say I make 250 grand, or I make $250,000, and that's it. Because six figures is between 100,000 and 999. So with that being the case, the middle class doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't exist anymore. So your best bet, if you're out there, because we have some young people who happen to listen to us as well. We have some not necessarily older, but then kind of entering your 30s kind of situation. So you're reaching your prime. Do not get excited about minimum wage being increased, or whatever the case may be, especially if you ain't got no plan. You shouldn't want to sit around and say, hey, you know, they're paying us $20 an hour. Let me go work at this McDonald's and then do absolute fuck all. That's foolish.
But where it gets crazier too now, right? Let's say you're working, for me, when I was washing cars, I was making 11 or 12 bucks an hour. When I look at this and I see this, I'm like, I could work there and make almost double.
Right.
To work at McDonald's. You've almost created like a good job that's not really a good job, because you're not providing that much value.
Right.
So you've created like a demand for a job that doesn't really have a good job. Like, great example, doctors, they should get paid a lot because people should aspire to be doctors.
Right.
Or lawyers or engineers. Engineers is a great one because you innovate, you create things. When you incentivize people to go to these jobs, they want to become these jobs so they can get paid. So then we can, as a society, get better, right? Like scientists, doctors, engineers, we're building spaceships, we're building skyscrapers, architects. Those are all things you need to incentivize. You should not incentivize people to go and flip burgers. Right. Because sure, like those people deserve to make money because it's a hard job, but at the same time, you're not adding value to society in that way.
And you know, now that you're mentioning jobs that bring value, there's a job that for years I believe has been criminally underpaid. Teachers. It just does not make sense to me how you're molding the minds of the next generation, and you're paid, what is it, between 63, about like 60,000 to maybe at maximum, depending on what level you may be at, 100?
I've seen things.
It's brutal.
Yeah, I've seen things like 40 to like 60.
40 grand.
Depending on where you may be located. It's bad. And I never, because of course, if you hand somebody a curriculum and they just say, hey, follow this, and you're a teacher who does the bare minimum, you don't really do anything that separates yourself, then it's like, all right, you're kind of like the minimum wage or the McDonald's of teaching. But the teachers who go above and beyond, who work after hours, who actually connect with the students,
buy their own supplies, by the way.
They literally are in a situation to where the kids look up to those teachers and say, I wouldn't have made it anywhere in life had it not been for these people, and they're criminally underpaid. That always bothered me.
Yeah, I don't like that teachers are not paid a lot. I always had a solution for this. I'm not sure why they haven't done this. I think they definitely think they should do this. They should have incentives for teachers.
Yep. 100%.
So they should incentivize
100%.
teachers. Hey, if your
100%.
kids get these test scores, right? Like, and have the testing be unrelated. There obviously has to be some sort of way so that they don't cheat.
Right.
Because they're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna get paid an extra this much if I do it. Cheat.
Yeah.
If there's a way that say, hey, we're giving them a test at the end of the year, standardized tests on mathematics, English, et cetera, you don't get to see the tests. But here's the curriculum. Go ahead and teach them. And let's say their kids, it should be a tiered type thing where it's like, hey, if their kids do exceedingly well, top 9% of the nation, 10% of the nation, they should give them like a $30,000 bonus or something.
I agree.
Because now you do that, you incentivize them to be like, to spend their own money getting supplies, to get children involved in wanting to learn. Because they're like, yo, if I do a great fucking job as a teacher, I'm getting a bag at the end of the year. Right. That's a great, I
remember when I was in high school, my geometry teacher, Miss Glosman, she was a German. I'll never forget. She was one of the smartest teachers I ever had the ability of being a student for. And I remember I told her, and I said, I think school, there should be a meritocracy situation. It should be very.
How old? How old were you?
I think I was 15. I was 15. And with her in particular, because math was always my thing. And I recall telling her, I'm like, man, I think school, not only for the students should it be a meritocracy, because it kind of already is with the honor roll and everything, teachers, that should be the case, because there's some teachers who teach like AP and all these other stuff, or the more Excelsior sort of classes, but they don't necessarily get viewed as a higher ranking as other teachers.
Right.
I think they should 100% do things like that, to where it's anonymous, where the teachers can't just pass children.
Yep.
They should have it to where, all right, this kid is assigned to this particular professor. This kid is assigned to this particular professor in this subject group. You then have the test go across the board. You send it to unrelated, like teachers are grading other teachers' work, not even from the same district, maybe not even the same state, whatever the case is. The highest performing teachers, I wouldn't even say like a $30,000. I think you double whatever they were just set to be paid. You double that shit. And if you're a teacher who's not worth your grain of salt, I don't think you should immediately be fired, but I think there needs to be a situation where if 3 years were to pass and your children are performing at the bottom, you lose your job. Like you don't get an opportunity to bounce back. I think it should be almost like sports, where if you're not good enough at the highest level, get them out of here. And with teaching, as you ascend, because I think if you start with like preschool, there's different levels of teaching, because I don't want to be over here like, hey, if you're a PhD professor versus a preschool teacher, well, you know, it's much difficult with the adults than with children. But I think per age group, subject matter, there should be a meritocracy sort of situation, a hierarchy, competition amongst the teachers that incentivizes them to perform, because there's a shit ton of teachers now who are literally just passing children because, well, we got to get them to the next grade, no child left behind, got to do all this other stuff. So it's ridiculous. I just had to get that one off my chest, because I always felt as if teachers are criminally underpaid.
Up too, though, is because that's how you attack a society, right? Like, let's say you want someone to fail, you go for the kids. You fuck the kids up. The kids are not learning shit. You're not making they're the future people that so I don't like the fact that the school system doesn't teach anything about finances, how money works, how money circulates. I understand it's a little bit of a complex topic, but I had to learn on my own. I didn't learn shit in school. And that's the only thing I actually use when it comes to making money and becoming a contributing member of society. You know? So the fact that you don't teach these kids any of that shit, it's perfect, because now they come out and they're fucking slaves. Right. I don't know how money works. Oh, someone's gonna raise my minimum wage? Sure. It's like almost set up it's almost set up to like spread that divide. It's fucked up. I don't like it, because it's like one of those things where, again, it doesn't affect me, probably won't in my lifetime, but in the grand scheme of things, this is a fucking road to nowhere. Right. This is driving off a cliff. Like, if it continues at this pace, it's driving off a cliff, because the divide gets big enough. Obviously, there's a few rich people compared to compared to a lot of poor people. And that number gets a little crazy, and then you have revolutions and societies crumble, and that's like a whole nother thing. But like, so when you look at any other country, right, there's a very small group of elite people at the top, and then you have fucking 95% of the population, which is poor, that has to struggle. And any society, doesn't matter, third world countries, there's rich people at the top and people at the bottom that are struggling. So it almost like happens with any country, and it seems like that's what's happening in the United States right now.